Yes, it is.
I'd like to call a meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals to order on this Monday, August the 3rd. Liz?
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Liz Kukla. I'm the Secretary of the Board of Zoning Appeals, and I'm going to read the preamble for this meeting this morning. In compliance with notification requirements of Ohio's open meeting law under COVID-19 emergency declaration, notice of this meeting has been publicly posted. All boards and commissions under the purview of the City Planning Department conducts its meetings according to Robert's Rules of Order. Actions during the meeting will be taken by voice vote. Abstentions from any vote due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to taking of any vote. In order to ensure that everyone participating in the meeting have the opportunity to be heard, we ask that you use the raise hand feature before asking a question or making a comment. The raise hand feature can be found in the participants panel on the desktop and mobile version and activated by clicking the hand icon. Please wait for the chair or facilitator to recognize you and be sure to select unmute and announce yourself before you speak. When finished speaking, please lower your hand by clicking on the raise hand icon again and mute your microphone. We will also be utilizing the chat feature to communicate with participants. The chat feature can be activated by clicking the chat button located on the bottom of the WebEx screen. Next slide, Maurice. All meeting activity is being recorded via the WebEx platform. These proceedings are also being live streamed via YouTube for public view. We have provided a link to the meeting for those who wish to speak on a particular case via our website and email. We have also received emails from those who have provided written comment on a particular matter. Back to you, Madam Chair.
Liz, please do a roll call of board members.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Faith?
We can't hear you.
Ms. Faith? Are you present? Oh, because she can hear us.
Miss Faith, I'm not seeing a microphone showing up in for you.
Uh-oh, we're having technical difficulties.
She is present.
Okay, go on to the next.
Thank you. Ms. Barnes? Ms. Barnes, are you present? Mr. Donovan?
Here.
Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Madam Chair, we have a quorum with 3 members present.
Miss Barnes appears to be here, but her microphone is muted.
Barnes is here. Hello?
Hello?
We hear you.
Okay,
Okay.
got a phone.
And Alana seems to maybe have a microphone now.
We have a request for postponement on 1216 West 67th Street. Is that correct, Mrs. Kukla?
Yes, Madam Chair.
And the reasoning?
I'm not sure if we have that as part of the slideshow here. I believe that there, pardon me?
Madam Chair, I did not put the email, but it was from the council person.
Okay, so, and that council person is Matt Zone?
Correct.
Correct.
I
Okay,
believe they are working with the applicant to tweak the design.
okay. Without objection, board?
Without objection.
Without objection.
Without objection.
Okay. Give us a date, Mrs. Kukla.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It would be August 31st or the first week in September. Let me make sure that's not the Labor. So it would be the Tuesday after Labor Day, September 8th, or September 14th is the date after that.
Let's give them till September 14th.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to announce to the people that had signed up for this case, which was Donna Bennett, Robert Thompson, Dan Mayer, and Phyllis Batson. The case is being postponed, so you don't have to stay on.
And new notices will be sent to them.
That is correct. We will send out another letter in the mail.
Thank you very much. Going Okay. Ms. Faith, go right ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Calendar number 20-59 at 4125 East 113th Street. Jeff DeFoy appeals under the authority of Section 76-6 of the Charter of the City of Cleveland and Section 329.02D of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances, and disputes the decision of the hearing officer of the City of Cleveland Waste Collection Division regarding civil infraction ticket number WC 403-81493, filed May 6, 2020.
Thank you very much. Mr. Donovan, are you going to swear everybody in?
Everyone for this case, kindly raise your right hand. I'm going to make a statement. At the end of it, I'm looking for a response that says I do and your name. Here we go. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Looking for a name and your name. Mr. Fior, are you here?
I believe you're muted, sir.
I left the, there it is.
Are you Mr. Fior?
Yes, I am.
I'm looking for the words I do to affirm the swearing in statement and your name.
I do, Jeff DiFiore.
Okay, anyone else?
My name is John Galick. I'm representing the Parking Violations Bureau, just in case I'm needed, and I do.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Okay,
That appears to be all.
thank you very much. Oh, the legal standard we'll be judging the case on, please, Ms. Wagner.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Appellant is appealing an administrative decision. The standard of review to be applied is whether the administrative decision was illegal, arbitrary, capricious, unreasonable, or unsupported by the preponderance of substantial, reliable, and probative evidence. If the appellant fails to meet this burden, the administrative decision must be affirmed.
Thank you very much. Jeff, what is the citation?
Excuse me?
His name is Jeff. Oh, here we go. Looks like a lot of debris there on the front yard.
That's not the point, ma'am. If anybody's bothered to read the reason why this was appealed, please speak.
Do I have a letter stating that?
I say, sir, it's up to you to make your case.
Yes, Madam Chair, it is in the next couple pages. And generally, the applicant does present his case verbally as well to the board.
Okay. Mr. DeFiore,
Yes.
we need to hear from you.
What do you want to hear from me?
What did you think was the reason they cited you? Because I'm looking at a picture that shows a lot of debris on the front yard.
What is the reason for my appeal?
Yes, that's the question.
Because no hearing was provided.
Because, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the answer.
The reason for the appeal is because no hearing was provided, even though I requested one. However, someone made a determination based on a nebulous appeal or nebulous hearing, excuse me.
You never had a hearing with anyone from the city?
With hearing officer Willie William has determined that this ticket is properly completed and submitted for the violation listed. That was never held.
Interesting. Now what do we do? Ms. Wagner, jump in.
Do we have somebody here from waste collection? You know, I'm guessing that a hearing was scheduled and notice was given, possibly, I don't know. That seems the most likely scenario.
Madam Chair, I'm looking at the date that he's supposed to have had this hearing on April 1st, 2020. I don't think City Hall was open enough for hearings or anything. Are we correct?
Okay, my name is John Galick. I'm representing the Parking Violations Bureau. We're the department that actually holds these hearings. So I'm going to kind of jump in here and maybe shed some light, hopefully. The hearing officer, Mr. Williams, apparently ruled on this ticket in error. I really don't know how that happened, but he made a ruling in error. We notified Mr. DiFiore after him contacting us that an error was made. We offered to have the hearing, and he chose to file an appeal. So that's why we're all here.
Thank you very much, John. Mr. DeFiore did reject the hearing. Is that my understanding?
Well, let me understand this. I'm supposed to get a hearing. I requested a hearing. I didn't get a hearing, but the determination was made. So technically the procedural error is on who? And although they said, hey, we can give you a hearing. Well, it's already been determined that
They'll vacate that.
Now, this is Lori Wagner from the Law Department, and the division is saying a mistake was made and they're offering to give you a hearing. So you have to go through that procedure before you can appeal. This is not a, loophole that means you win. You have to go through the procedure. So
and thank you for your input, but I have an issue with that, because what I have to do is not clearly spelled out. So if somebody made a decision already, none of the procedures that are actually written down will allow me to say, well, if we didn't give you a hearing, you need to go back and get one.
They're offering a hearing to you, and you need to take advantage of that.
Written down that says I have to go back.
Well, you do. This board can't hear an appeal until you go through the process.
Where is the written procedure?
That's a complicated question. There's procedures, all kinds of procedures in the law, but you have to do that. I'm telling the board that they cannot hear your case unless you take advantage of the hearing. They made a mistake.
There's procedures that are written, court rules, civil rules, criminal rules. They're all there. They tell you exactly what to do and how to do it. In this case, there is nothing written. You can make up rules along the way.
They told you what to do, and you chose not to do it.
No, they didn't tell me. They didn't tell me. They requested, hey, we can give you a hearing. But that part of the problem was already done. That part was already done.
They made a mistake, and they told you they made a mistake.
Yes, they did. And then
Madam Chair, can we make a ruling on this?
I'm going to make a motion that we dismiss the case because we have no jurisdiction unless the appellant goes and takes up the request to have a hearing that was admittedly wrongfully done.
Well, you do have jurisdiction.
Vacating their decision and allowing for a fresh meeting with the appellant so he can have his stay, quote unquote, in court.
I'll second that motion.
I object because you have jurisdiction because and the ruling was made, and it says the hearing examiner made it. So it was made, and you have jurisdiction once that's made.
No.
We have a motion. We have a second. Please call the roll.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Faith?
You're muted.
Yes.
Ms. Barnes,
Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan,
Yep.
Mrs. Johnson.
Yes,
The case is dismissed.
thank you very much. Moving right along. We have another postponed case. 2062 Robert Furco at 12210 Lorraine Avenue. We previously had postponed it until August 24th. If there's anybody here that's here for that case, they could sign off. Okay, calendar 20-64. Go ahead, Ms. Faith.
Madam Chair, calendar number 20-64, 2264 West 19th Street. West 19 Development LLC owner proposes to construct a single-family residence and in-law suite above the car garage on a 6,215 square foot lot in a D1 two-family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record.
Thank you very much. Mr. Donovan?
Everyone for this case, kindly raise your right hand. I'm going to make a statement. At the end of that statement, I'm looking for a response. That response is I do with your name. Here we go. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do. Michael Horton.
Anyone else? Appear not.
Okay, history of the property, please, Mrs. Kukla.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The property was originally zoned semi-industry, and in 2018, it was changed to two-family residential. I didn't find any records online for this. I'm sorry, in the records room, I didn't find any records for this address. There are no variances on file for this address. And in the more recent history in our Acela system, there's nothing of note other than I found an application for a lot split and consolidation, and there are no specific details on that particular record. And that's all that I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Yielding to the Law Department, Ms. Wagner.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Appellant is requesting area variances from the minimum lot width and side yard encroachment requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the area variances, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variances will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Thank you very much. Mr. Horton, are you going to be the spokesperson?
Good morning, Madam Chair. Yes.
And you are?
Michael Horton, owner of Horton Harper Architects. We're the architect of the project. I'm also the owner, part owner of the property, so I'm a member of West 19th
Okay.
LLC.
Tell us exactly what you'd like to do there.
Sure, absolutely. So the parcel is approximately 33 feet wide, as Ms. Kukla mentioned. It was originally a 166-foot wide parcel, which was recently split in half to accommodate a single-family parcel for each single-family house for each parcel. As you can see at the bottom, where the property line exists on the shared access driveway, the house that you see partially 2270 below to the south the homeowners actually just moved in. So there's a shared drive here. That shared driveway will be able to access garages for both single family houses. So what we're here to talk about today is the sort of the second phase of this lot split, which is for a single family residence and an in-law suite above the detached garage. It's a fairly straightforward house, 2 stories. There is a homeowner or family that will be moving in here already. And so that's what we're proposing here. There are a few variances. We plan to have the AC condenser in the side yard. Worst case scenario, if we find a creative way to have that somewhere else. But right now, where you can see, sort of toward the back of the house, the portion of the house in front, we'd have that AC condenser in the side yard, and we also have some window wells because there will be some habitable space in the basement. So we have window wells to provide natural light, ventilation, as well as egress out of those rooms. So that is technically for the for the zoning code and encroachment, but it's not something that we haven't done before. So I think we're excited about the property.
Is there an elevator for the in-law suite?
Pardon?
Is there an elevator for the in-law suite?
There is not. No, just a straight run set of stairs.
Lots of luck on that, being an in-law.
I wish.
Well, when we get older, we don't want to do stairs. All right. The conditioner on the main house is there on the side of the house. And is there an air conditioner for the rear parts, the rear?
No. So what we'd use is one of those, they call them mini splits. There's sort of a unit that sits on the inside and it has direct ventilation to the outside. But it's not like a window unit, but it sort of sits on the inside and just pushes air, and there's these little vents that take it from room to room. It's very quiet, and everything occurs inside the home or directly on the envelope of the building, so it doesn't encroach beyond the footprint of the home.
Oh boy, I don't know. Board comments, questions, concerns?
City planning.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
the architect, do we have any other plan drawings?
Sure. There we go. So that gives you a pretty good idea of the interior layout of the home. The middle drawing is sort of the ground floor plan, so you can see how the first floor of the main house connects to the garage, and where the stair occurs to take you up to the in-law suite, which you can see the layout for the second floor. There should also be some exterior elevations following these floor plans.
While we're on these plan views, can you show for the rest of the board members on the basement, the windows that window wells?
Yes, so if you look at the top right corner and the top wall, where the cursor is, that is the north wall, and those three windows will have window wells. Those window wells allow code compliant egress out of them, and they would be constructed out of very durable, a 4 to 6 inch thick cast in place concrete, so they're not going anywhere. But it's a smooth pour, so it'll look nice, and there are no objectives from the neighbor, no objections from the neighbor. We're actually working with him to help clean up portions of his yard, so he understands what's taking place here and what's to come. We also presented the project to the Duck Island Block Club as well as Tremont West Economic Development. There were no issues or objections to anything.
And another question to the architect. In the in-law suite, the chairwoman asked about elevator.
Yes.
Do you have any, like the walk-in closet that you might have as a contingency to place if we're running?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's an opportunity to put an elevator in the future. It may be at the, I guess there's two ways to do it. We could put it up in the northwest corner, and which then the stair would need to be reconfigured. Or what we could do is put it in the location where we have that third parking space. Thus, we'd still have, if you sort of took out that dividing wall, you could still have 3 off-street parking spaces in the garage and still allow for room for that elevator. So, I mean, there is flexibility. It certainly would require some rearranging on that first floor to provide parking, but it's possible, certainly.
Okay, thank you.
City of Cleveland, Maurice, is Shannon here or no? Are you,
I'm doing the, as usual, I am doing it.
okay, as usual?
Yeah, we applaud the developer for doing a shared driveway in this situation, for the obvious benefits of reducing curb cuts and making sure that we have garages in the rear half of the lot. I will point out that the other house, as part of this project, already got a variance for an AC unit on the side yard. And although we prefer not to have them on the side yard, if we've heard nothing from the neighbor on the other side, we would recommend approval.
Thank you very much. Any other questions, board? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Ms. Faith.
Given the testimony of the architect and the approval of city cleaning, and what sounds like the support of the block club and the councilperson, that we approve calendar number 20-64.
Second.
Call the roll.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And that, for the record, we are not granting a variance for 341-02, which states the city planning approval is required. We're just doing items 1 and 2. So, Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
Ms. Faith? Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Calendar 20-64 is granted. We'll ratify it next week and send you a letter.
Very much. Go ahead, Ms. Faith.
Thank you.
For 20-65 at 1316 East 91st Street. Stephanie
Yes, I'm here.
Devereux proposes to establish use as a residential facility for 5 occupants in a B family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record.
Thank you very much. Mr. Donovan?
Will everyone for this case kindly raise your right hand? I will make a statement. I'm looking for a response of I do with your name. Here we go. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do. Stephanie Devereaux.
Any others?
Walter Stone. I do.
Sorry?
Walter Stanley.
Okay.
I do.
Any others?
Okay.
Appears not.
Thank you very much. History of the property, please, Mrs. Kukla.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's been no change in the zoning since 1929. In the records room I found in 1899, a permit was issued to erect a 2-story dwelling. In 1968, a permit was issued to correct the violations to a 2-family dwelling. In 1973, a permit was issued to erect a chain link fence. There are no variances on file. And in the more recent history, I found that in 2017, a permit was issued to board up standardized doors and windows on the first floor. And then later in 2017, a certificate of disclosure was issued stating that the authorized use of the property is single family. And that's all that I have that's relevant, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Yielding to the Law Department, Ms. Wagner.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Appellant is requesting an area variance from the distance requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the area variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Ms. Devereaux. Tell us exactly what you'd like to do.
Good morning. My name is Stephanie Devereaux, and just to kind of give you a quick background about myself, this property, as well as other properties within the area, I have a close relationship with the land bank where I get the property that are vacant and I rehabilitate them. In the last year and a half, I have actually sheltered 3 women who were homeless as well with their families. And these properties, again, were through the land bank. This property, I am looking to work with veterans, which I already do work with. We employ veterans to cut lawns in Cleveland Heights, as well as some areas within the Superior Ward 7 area as well. And with this property, like I said, I am looking to shelter veterans who are in transition and give them a permanent place to stay. And I do understand there is that 1,000 feet rule. However, I did do some calculations for myself and found that it was over 1,000 feet by, just a little over it. So this is why I'm here today.
Thank you very much. Maurice, do we have, oh, I see, never mind. So you're saying that this home on Ansel Road is 1,000 feet away from where you propose this residence?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Maurice, do we have any other pictures? I want to go back to the house. Okay. That driveway and that tree that's hanging into the driveway, is that coming down?
So yes, that's actually an old picture. And with the land bank, how the protocol works, I actually had to redo that driveway to meet the specs requirements. As far as with the trimming and bushes, we actually just did that about 2 weeks ago. We had to cut out a tree trunk, edge it up, do a big maintenance. So that's actually not a most recent picture of the house.
Madam Chair, it was taken on July 24th.
Yeah, I saw that. Okay, thank you. All right, I'd like to hear from Walter Stanley. Mr. Stanley,
Yes,
are you a neighbor?
yes, I'm across the street at 1307 East 91st Street.
Okay, and your comments?
I'm objecting to this because right beside my house, or directly across the street from this, was another building that they did the same kinds of things, and it was a problem. Those people in that house are, there were several, about 5 to 6 people that were being housed there, and they broke into my building next door at least 6 times. They spewed trash all over the place. They had no place to go, no areas for recreation, anything, and so they would leave the property to keep the property owner from getting on them, and so they would drink beer and things, and they would throw their cans on the street. They would use the vestibule in my building for places to gather, and also doing drugs. And so I don't want to see it. And eventually something happened. I don't know what happened, but they had to move out, and so it's empty. And now I'm looking at this building here, and this is the same thing that I see coming, and I oppose that. And also, right beside this building where she's putting in, there's another building beside her, and it's abandoned. It's empty. And the directly across the street is another one, which is 2 doors down from me. It's abandoned and empty. Also, just at the corner there, which is about 200 feet, is a elementary school, St. Aquinas, St. Thomas, and it's about 200 feet away, and that's a K through 8 school. And at the other end of this the street, there's another K-8 school. You know, it's about 1,000 feet. But on each end of 91st Street, there's a schools where young kids are traveling. And so when the schools are open, these streets are filled with children that are up and down these streets. I would not like to see another house where we have homeless people or other people or some that have various backgrounds. They could be, you know, predators, anything else. And with an access of abandoned houses right next door to where they live, I don't like to see the idea of that coming. So I think it's a dangerous situation. And again, like she did note though, that location is 1,056 feet from the other building on Ansel Road. So I oppose it. I know what it's like. I've had experience with them next door to me for a long time, and it's a rough one. So that's my objection.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your input. Has there, Stephanie, has there been any sort of community meeting or any response from the council person or the local development corporation?
Yeah, so we do have close ties with Bashir Jones. We also are a non-for-profit, so we do have programs implemented. And as far as I understand, Mr. Stanley, your concern, and we would like to talk to you based off your prior knowledge. But like I said, we do have programs implemented where they are required to fulfill in order to even be a part of our program.
But you've had no community meeting that it would involve the neighbors?
No.
Okay. And you said you have a support from Bashir Jones. Do you have a letter from him?
No, I can get one though.
And how about I don't know what the local development corporation there is.
I have, like I said, I can get one from him as well as his secretary, Miss Shauna. As far as they've reached out to us prior before where they had people come in who are homeless in the neighborhood, and we have taken them in and sheltered them as well without any kind of funds. And we were able to get these people jobs to the point that they now are living in other permanent homes. So our home had been a transition for them. And we did that with Bashir Jones and his team.
Maurice, City of Cleveland Planning.
Madam Chair, first of all, I can attest that we used our city GIS system, which is very accurate. And I can tell you that it is, in fact, within the 1,000-foot circle drawn on the map. Those are drawn all over the city. We use them all the time. It is accurate. As I said, the pictures were taken less than 2 weeks ago. I don't see any improvement. I didn't see any improvements at the time. I would really like to see a community meeting on this, as we ask for most people before this gets approved or moves ahead.
I'll take that under advisement. Board, any other comments or questions?
No, I agree with Maurice.
I'm mute. That was my suggestion too. Good.
Madam Chair, I think we don't from the council or the CDC. I think it's that there be a community meeting and be support before we make a.
That's fine. That's what we'd like to do, Ms. Faye. Thank you. Appreciate everybody joining in on that.
Madam Chair, we can also give Ms. Devereaux our neighborhood planner's name, Sharonda Watley, so she can interface with her. She'll be able to help coordinate anything.
Okay, that would be great. You understand that, Stephanie?
No.
Okay. Well, that was simple and sweet. He's going to give you the name of the local planner for the area and help you through the process.
Okay, and the process would be next to meet with her and the other neighbors in the neighborhood?
Then she would help you organize a community meeting so that you could meet with the neighbors. Maybe the councilman could even come.
Okay.
Okay.
And then from that point on, would I then meet with the board again?
Yes, we're going to postpone your case and we'll give you another date.
Okay, and I'll receive that in the mail.
That is correct.
Okay.
How about September 14th?
Would I be able to do it over the computer again?
Yes.
Okay, yes, then that works.
Okay. Schedule her for September the 14th without objection, board?
Without objection.
Madam Chair, to Stephanie, I typed in the wrong name. Actually, I don't know if you saw in the chat.
No.
You don't have the chat window open? Okay,
Oh,
the
yes,
person
look
that,
at it. S. Watley at clevelandohio.gov.
actually, that's the wrong person. It's Kim Scott.
Okay.
And her email address is kscott, 2 T's, at clevelandohio.gov, same.
And that's kscott at clevelandohio.gov.
Correct, ma'am.
Okay, and what I should do right now is reach out to her, or
Yes, I would do that. Do you want me to send you her phone number as well in the chat?
Yes, please.
Sure. I can
All
do that.
right. Thank you very much. We'll see you on the 14th of September.
I also have a question.
Shirley.
So I have met with the councilman many times before, as far as letting him know what our plans are. Is that something that could be used to, for the decision, or do I still have to go through the community?
You still have to go through the community meeting. It's involving more than just the councilman, but he could support you with a letter sent to us.
Okay. And then secondly, I had a question for, I didn't get his last name, but I was Marcus, I believe. So I just wanted to ask him, what are his thoughts on, the neighborhood with these vacant homes, and what are things that he wants to see done as far as making, rehabilitating our neighborhood? Because a lot of these vacant homes have now been a hub for, mischief.
Yes.
So
work with the planner for the area, Kim Scott, and he's going to give you her phone number. And I think that's your best resource to touch
Yes,
base with
I typed her phone number in the chat.
Thank you so
Do you
much.
see that? Do you see that, Stephanie?
Yes, I see the number.
Okay, great.
Okay, good. Okay. Thank you very much. We'll see you on the 14th of September.
And Stephanie, we normally recommend this when somebody is proposing a use like this and there has been no community meeting. The board almost always wants to hear from the neighbors before they proceed.
Okay.
And especially being that
Mr. neighbors on the street.
Yeah, and especially being that Mr. Stanley has taken the time to come in and voice his concerns. So.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much, Stephanie.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Ms. Faith.
Calendar number 20-066 at 7915 Franklin Boulevard. Timothy Sommerfeld, owner, proposes to build a 2-story, 1,827 square foot wood frame garage, second floor apartment on an 8,712 square foot lot in a B2 family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record.
Thank you very much. Mr. Donovan?
For everyone for this case, kindly raise your right hand. I'm going to read a statement. I'm looking for a response. I do, with your name. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Timothy Sommerfeld.
Any others?
I believe that was Kevin Kantz and Timothy Sommerfeld.
Right. Okay. History of the property, please, Mrs. Kukla.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It was originally zoned apartment house in 1929. In 1970, it was changed to 2-family. In the records room, I found a permit was issued in 1897 to erect a 2-story dwelling and a 1.5-story barn. In 1974, a permit was issued to demolish a private garage on the property. There are no variances on file. And in the more recent history, I found in 2004, a permit was issued to re-roof the property. 2012, permit was issued to erect aluminum fencing. 2015, a permit was issued to repair and restore the front porch. That's all that I have. That's relevant, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Yielding to the Law Department, Ms. Wagner.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Appellant is requesting area variances from the accessory building maximum floor area, dwelling unit minimum floor area, rear yard and side yard requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the area variances, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights in the granting the variances and not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Thank you very much. Mr. Sommerfeld, tell us exactly what you'd like to do.
Good morning. I'd like to thank you all for hearing me. A little bit about myself and my history. I'm a lifelong Clevelander. I actually work for the Division of EMS. Got under 22 years of living in the city of Cleveland, and I'm probably not going anywhere. We actually do have a presentation for you here. Are you guys able to pull up the first slide or no?
Yes, sir.
That would be, there we go. So I've lived in this current house since 2011. Already restored the front porch, upgraded the electrical in conjunction with CPP. And now I'd like to build a carriage house, kind of an accessory dwelling unit on top of a two-car garage. Kent's going to go ahead and walk us through this presentation slide by slide.
Yes, and good morning. Thank you for having us this morning. Our intent today was just to show our approach and then review the variances. So looking at this slide, you can see that we're developing the two-story carriage house with the first floor and a partial second floor. You can see the variances that we're going for. The locations within the Detroit Shoreway, Gordon Square neighborhood, right along Franklin Boulevard. We're on the south side of Franklin Boulevard. If you look at the context map there, you can see the location of the site along Franklin Boulevard and the density of the adjacent properties, as well as you can see the adjacent garages that are facing Wakefield, which is the alley to the south of Franklin Boulevard. The existing house is on the left. As far as just context, color, not materials, but color, we're going to match that to the new garage. And you can see the existing property that we're looking at developing there. There's a large tree that needs to come down. There's some wires that need to be relocated. But you can see at that point where the asphalt is Wakefield, which is where we would approach the carriage house from. And you can see some of the adjacent garage. That blue concrete block garage on the left is about 22 feet off of the edge of Wakefield, which we can talk about in a little bit more detail. So if you're able to go to the next slide quick. So the owner was very cognizant of design in our approach. So we did some investigation on carriage houses in the west side of Cleveland. Just very quickly, we're looking at scale, material. They liked the eave facing the approach to help limit the height of the building, which comes into place. That's one of our variances. And we also noticed that a lot of the historic structures also had that second floor, or at least partially occupied second floor. We also looked at some of the new construction within the neighborhood, not necessarily looking at it from a design approach, but from a density approach that the planning department, our understanding, is looking at increasing the population density within these neighborhoods. And a carriage house with some living quarters would help modify that density that we're looking to achieve. Be able to go to the next slide. Again, just a very quick summary. Our intent was to go into each variance in more detail, but on the left you can see the overall lot. At the front of the property, the north end of the property, is the single-family home. Closer to the bottom there, and the darker orange color is where the carriage house would be built. Below that, you can see some context elevations, and we have that a little bit larger on another screen. But if you look at the floor plans, the orange is the tenant area. So we have a first floor entry with stair and some utility room space on the west side. On the east side, we actually have a second means of egress with Tim being EMS, fire ratings, fire concern, egress safety became a priority, and that's one of the main drivers, which is pushing the width of this building out a little bit further. The second floor is actually kind of a partial occupied second floor. So to the south, we have no less than a 5-foot headroom, so that's all occupiable space. But on the north side, we have some storage space and a closet, which goes down closer to about a 2-foot ceiling height. So it's not a fully occupied second floor, but close to it. Elevations, we just wanted to make sure that we had the historic context. We are within the landmarks district, so making sure that materials, scale, and just design was contextual to the environment that we're in. On the next slide, starting to look at the actual variances that we are requesting. So first one being the maximum area of the accessory building. So we are, I think my numbers are a little bit lower than what was noted on the variance, but our first floor is 915 square feet, with so the footprint of our addition is within the allowable square foot accessory building area. Also looking at the site plan, you can see that between the house and the carriage house, existing house and proposed carriage house, we have about 70 feet of rear yard of green space, which the owner has a garden and planting and things like that. And so it's actually about 2,800 square feet of rear yard. So we're not abutting closely to the existing house or any adjacent existing houses either. So I think that the square footage that we're looking at doesn't necessarily have a negative impact on our site or any of the adjacent sites either. So if we were to look at the next page, that starts to look at the some of the context, some additional context. The other variance we're looking to achieve is the rear yard setback. We are requesting an 8-foot setback for the building with a cantilevered deck or porch that spans to within 4 feet of the setback. If you look at that site context plan, you can see that most of the garages have a 4-foot setback off of the property line, which is actually about 22 feet off of the edge of Wakefield. So we have plenty of room to have a full parking spot in front of the garage. We're actually looking at pushing our garage back an additional 4 feet, instead with the balcony lining with the adjacent garages. The side yard setback, again, the width of this is really being driven by some of those interior spaces that we have with the interior circulation in the garage. So we are requesting a 6-inch variance to go to 6 inches for the west side yard setback. That puts our east wall at 5 feet, so we don't need any fire ratings. You know, windows on the east side and doorways on the east side. The west side was going to be more of a solid wall with the 1-hour fire rating. That does put us at about 4 foot 6 inches from the adjacent garage, which, if you look at the bottom picture there, that's pretty much what is standard in that Wakefield garage spacing. Everything is built pretty tight to each other, and they're all about 6 to 5 feet apart. So using that as a precedence of how we were approaching our design is the direction that we were going. Other variances on the next sheet. Before we go to that variance, I'd like to just kind of speak to the first floor plan that you can see. We have the tenant spaces on the west and east side. So the west side is the stairwell, which is an open stairwell to the second floor, allowing egress or access to the second floor dwelling, as well as a hallway going back to utility spaces. On the east side is the spiral staircase, which is, again, a secondary means of egress just out of precautionary measure, just from a safety standpoint. And so that puts our garage wall to wall between those two elements at 19-foot 5, which we're trying to keep that as open as possible to make sure that we can pull a car in there and have room around the walls and such to be able to maneuver. So to go to the variances that we're looking at here, the minimum area of a residence, we're requesting just under the minimum allowable area, but you can see that we do have that first floor entry space that's a 2-story space open to the second floor. We have a bedroom, so it's a single bedroom dwelling unit or apartment. So the standard 120 square foot bedroom, 390 square feet of living space, plus utilities on the first floor, a full bath, a large walk-in closet, and the second floor actually has an 8-foot to 8'6" to 9-foot ceiling, where it's not under the sloped ceiling. So it is we feel that it's a nice space. It's well laid out. It's compact, but even though it's under the minimum area requirement, it would have achieved the goal of providing a nice space for someone to live. Trying to think here. To go then to the next slide, which is the exterior elevations, just looking at again, trying to use the historic precedent as our design intent, again, being in the landmarks district, looking at the adjacent structures as well as the structure on the property, the existing house, trying to make sure that we're relevant to those structures. We did do things like have the east face the street as well as the back of the house, so you can see the back of the house or the back of the carriage house is lower than the front. That's to allow as much natural light into that rear yard as possible. The functioning spaces on the back side there, the north elevation, that dormer then is the bedroom. Materials, we're looking at quality materials being within the historic district, architectural shingles, cementitious or hardy board siding and trim. Again, the owner is very conscientious of the project. This isn't a short-term build for him. He's been in the neighborhood his entire life, as well as his family. He grew up there, so he's looking at really doing something that's a long-term project for him. Instead, there's one more slide that's just a summary slide, but I'll probably turn that back over to Tim just for some closing remarks then.
So I also am very invested in the neighborhood. I run a community CPR program. I help out maintaining a reading garden. And so it's very important to me to get a lot of neighborhood input on this. I sent it out to the entire Franklin Block Club and got no negative replies whatsoever. Also made sure to engage with my direct neighbors on either side and on the block through every step of the process. And we have several letters in support of the project here. In fact, I don't think we have any in opposition, only in support. We also reached out to the local CDC. We have a letter from Detroit Shoreway CDC from Director Jenny Spencer. And lastly, we have been engaging with Councilman Zone, who also offered a letter. I believe Ms. Kukla has those letters somewhere in addition to this presentation.
Thank you. Thank you. Do you have those? Also from whoever's dog is barking, please. From the landmarks. Oh, here we go.
Yes.
I see it. Thank you. Landmarks did also approve it.
Yes, we also went with our Franklin Clinton design. About this project, we tried very hard to work with the neighborhood, tweak the design a little bit to make it amenable to all involved. As Kevin alluded to, I'm very, very safety conscious. I understand it's wider than might normal, but that is entirely driven by safety, by wanting to have a second exit in case of fire.
Appreciate that. Maurice, representing the City of Cleveland Planning.
Madam Chair, it is our understanding that a coworker of ours resides at this residence, and for that reason, we're going to abstain from making any recommendations.
Fine. Okay, board, questions, comments? None?
Madam Chair, do we have letters from Councilman Zone and the CDC?
Liz?
I don't believe that I have those in my possession.
We can forward those over to you, but we do have a letter of recommendation from, like Tim noted, the Church Norway, which is Jenny Spencer, Councilman Zone, and then also Tim, I believe we have a recommendation letter from the owner directly to the west, which were that's the owner whose property we're 6 inches off of, as well as a number of other property owners within that block. Is that correct, Tim?
That's correct. We have letters from both adjoining neighbors, both neighbors further on the block, around the corner. So we have about 5 letters, and addition from the CDC and the council person.
If we have those before we ratify this decision, which would be next Monday, then I think we could probably move forward today.
Right.
Ms. Faith, you want to make the motion?
I'll make the motion. Madam Chair, under the condition that the appellant will submit those letters from council, neighbors, and the CDC. We have a letter from Landmarks with their approval based on the testimony we've heard and the extensive presentation today. I move that we vote to approve these variances.
Second.
Number 20-066.
Second.
Call the roll.
Ms. Barnes? Ms. Barnes, are you muted?
Yes, Ms. Barnes says yes.
Thank you. Mr. Donovan?
Yep.
Ms. Faith?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Calendar 20-66 is granted, and the board will ratify it next Monday if we have those letters, and we'll send you a letter.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Faith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Calendar number 20-051 at 3374 East 139th Street. Darnell Graham, owner, proposes to use existing family residence for a maximum of 5 people residential care facility. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record.
Everyone for this case, please raise your right hand. I'm going to read a statement. I'm looking for the response I do with your name. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Mr. Graham, you're muted.
Read I do and your name.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm looking for I do and your name.
I do, Darnell Graham.
Thank you. Any others? Cheers.
That's all we have signed up for.
Okay, great. History of the property, please, Mrs. Kukla.
Thanks, Madam Chair. We've had some testimony on this, but I'll go ahead and read it. There's been no change in the zoning since 1929. I only found a permit was issued in 1925 to erect a garage. There are no variances on file, and in the more recent history, a certificate of disclosure was issued in 2012 stating that the legal authorized use of the property is single-family residential. In 2017, a board of violation was issued to the property and fees were assessed. And then in 2019, rental registration was issued to the property. And Madam Chair, just a reminder, this was postponed originally to allow time for the appellant to meet with the city planner and the councilman.
Thank you very much. The legal standard will be judging the case on, please, Ms. Wagner.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Appellant is requesting an area variance from the distance requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the area variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Mr. Graham, tell us exactly what you'd like to do.
Okay, from the last meeting that we had, July the 6th, it was said something about the area was oversaturated,
Right.
and that the house need repairs. Currently, I have an adult care facility in the same neighborhood, Ward 4, and that's located right around the corner at 13604 Melzer. And that facility, I've been running that facility for almost 4 years. That facility just passed a renewal inspection, and the facility is in compliance with the state. All the residents at the facility has been there for at least 3 years. They're comfortable there, they're established in the neighborhood. And they also use the resources of the neighborhood, such as the library, life exchange, and other places. We have, since we've been there, we have no complaints. We're 24-hour supervision, and safety is one of our biggest rules that we have. We have fire, and we have fire tornado drills. We do them quarterly. We have fire extinguishers, smoke detectors, along with carbon monoxide detectors. We have evacuation plans for emergencies. And the best thing we got there is 24-hour supervision, which allows me and the staff to have total control over the facilities. We work together with these people's families. We work closely with their caseworkers. Since COVID-19, we have been working around the clock, hand in hand, working with these people, because right now, the caseworkers are not allowed to come near the facility, so I've been taking them all day doctor's appointments. I do all this by myself. I make sure all the residents, they get their injections, they follow-ups, they medicine, etc. And at this time, the landlord needs possession. He needs possession of the house at 13604 to turn over to his daughter. So I'm speaking now on the house that I want to open up now, which is on 3374 East 139th Street, which is in the same neighborhood. My rental house where I was relocated. Okay. First of all, I'm not expanding my business, or I'm not adding no new numbers to the oversaturated area. As I explained earlier, we've been in this area for 4 years. I had total control of the facility. I did at the Melzer facility. If I'm not allowed to open up this residence, the residents will remain. They still remain in this oversaturated area. They would just move on to other houses in the area. So with closing down Melzer and opening up the new facility at 3374, it allowed my residents to stay together under my supervision. And as far as the repairs to the house, they told me, I don't know when they took that picture, but for the longest, I had a squatter in the house, and it took me almost like 45 months to get him out of there. And he pretty much destroyed the house. But all the stuff that he did, as soon as I got repossession of the house, all the repairs were made immediately. And there's further work that we're about to do as well. Thank you.
Is that your driveway? It's unpaved. Is that your driveway next to the house?
Yeah.
You can't park your car next to the house.
I can't park my car. What?
Your car should be beyond the house. It's for fire reasons. If your car goes on fire, the house gets on fire, you can, yeah, that picture there shows that car parked between the two houses. You can't do that.
Oh, you can't park in the driveway right there?
No, not next to the house. You have to go beyond the house.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that. Well, okay, well, that's something that had to be corrected.
Yeah, but you're gonna have to pave it and drain the driveway. You now own this house, this yellow and blue house?
Yes, I do own it.
Okay. So you're gonna be, what you wanna do is move out of this gray house and into the yellow and blue house.
No, I want to move my residence out the house on Melzer. They kind of almost the same color, but the house that they in right now is more of the beige and blue, and I want to move them, and I want to move them into the where the car is at between the two houses.
Okay. Have you talked to the neighbors? Have you talked to the councilman? Have you talked to the local development corporation?
Yes, I did talk to them. I thought they would be on board today. I let them know what was going on, and I pretty much filled them in. I went to the local planner there, and I gave him pictures of the existing house on, because I wanted him to have a good idea on how I run my facilities. And I also gave him, sent to his email, I sent him my license, my renewal license that had just passed inspections, and I also sent him all the letters that I sent you guys from the first meeting.
Is there anybody else here to speak on this case, Maurice?
No, Madam Chair, but I can fill you in with some details. Marka Fields, the planner for this neighborhood, just reached out to me, and she told me that the local development corporation, which is Mount Pleasant now, and the gentleman by the name of Nick Perry has met with Mr. Graham, and he is in support of this because it is just being moved down the street, basically. So it's not a new facility in the neighborhood, and the councilman had referred the applicant to Mount Pleasant now, and he is basically supporting whatever recommendation the CDC makes. And the CDC and the neighborhood planner are in support of this. Primarily, and I want to make this clear, primarily because it's being moved from right down the street. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't.
Right, okay. Any other questions, board? Comments?
Just want to make it clear to the appellant that he does, as the chairman noted, needs to pave the driveway and extend it beyond the house. And any other repairs that need to be made must be made. With that, I'll make a motion if there's no other questions.
Go ahead.
Yes, I have a question, Darnell Graham.
No, go ahead now before she makes the motion.
Okay, yes, yes, there will be corrections to the house because I've been doing this for 6 years, and I know I couldn't start my business with the house as it is, so it's going to be repairs. But as far as the driveway goes, how much time can you give me to have the driveway repaired?
You got 6 months.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Faith.
Okay, all set?
Ms. Kukla has her hand raised, Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Mrs. Cooper.
Madam Chair, so on the drawings, there was no indication of this proposed parking area. So I'm not sure that we can add that to our resolution. We might just want to state that it's understood that the parking must comply with code. You can see that on the site plan, he doesn't show the parking in the side yard. Right. So that's just a thought that making this part of the resolution would be awkward because it's not shown on the site plan and such. So just for your thoughts on that.
Well, he would have to submit a plan for what the driveway would look like. How wide and how far back he's going to put it. Whether it would be asphalt or concrete. Can't be gravel.
Oh, sorry, Madam Chair. And or we could just leave it off of the resolution and note that he has to get a separate permit for that. Just acknowledge that the driveway does not meet code and a permit needs to be sought on that to legalize it.
Okay. Go ahead, yes.
Liz, and that needs to be completed within 6 months, right? Do you want that in the motion?
Yes, we can make that part of the motion.
All right, Madam Chair, pertaining to calendar number 20-051 at 3374 East 39th Street, I move that we approve the variances with the understanding that the appellant needs to bring the driveway up to code and pull a separate permit for that and have it completed within 6 months. And other than that, we're approving the variance. With the understanding that that has the support of the CDC, the council person, and city planning, because this is essentially just moving residents from an existing facility that he is losing occupancy of into this new dwelling.
Second.
Call the roll.
Ms. Barnes? Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Ms. Bates?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Calendar 20-51 is granted with conditions. It'll be ratified next week and we'll send you a letter.
Okay, thank you. Old business. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 without objection, board?
Objection from Ms. Barnes.
Ms. Faith?
Yes, without objection.
Mr. Donovan? Okay, and without objection from me.
So, Madam Chair, we have a request for a postponement from Councilman McCormick for an upcoming case on 4700 Lorraine. Unfortunately, I don't have all of my files here, so I don't know what date that is. I can email that to you. I can email that to you tomorrow when I'm in the office, but they need a postponement, apparently, an upcoming postponement. So I thought we could vote on that today.
Liz, this case was already heard once and postponed, I believe.
Right, yeah. Was it postponed? I can't remember. Was the request made by the city or was it by the councilman? You know, either way, it's not coming up on the 10th. So, you know, we can wait on that. I can put it on the old business for next week because you did look at the 10th agenda and there's nothing on there, right, Maurice?
The one that you had sent me, I don't see it. I don't know if you have a more recent agenda for the 10th than what I had on file. So you might as well check. But it's a good informational piece for the board.
Yeah. And then there's another one. This one I sent to Lori as well. That parking case that keeps coming back, that Hug, what is it, Hug Jones or Hug something or the other. Anyway, Midway Parking Inc. I also got that this morning, a request from the owner. You may remember he stated that he had a health issue. That was in, what was it, December? We gave him like 4 months, and when that came up, he said he asked for another one, and the board, I believe, denied it, or the board asked for an updated doctor's excuse. And at that time, he got rid of his current attorney at that time and said that he needed more time to find an attorney. Now he's stating that he's found an attorney and the attorney needs more time to prepare. And he's definitely, I believe he's on for the 10th. So we would have to decide on that. We would want to decide on that today. I know for sure that Dedrick Stevens was not happy with the last postponement. Dedrick being the Commissioner of Assessments and License, there's some money involved and they may be delaying it purposely.
Liz, it's set for next week.
Yes, I believe so.
That's probably not a reasonable amount of time for an attorney to prepare for it. So I think to protect the record, and I understand the commissioner's concerns, I share them as well, but a short postponement beyond that, perhaps 3 weeks from today would be better. We don't want him to go to court and say, you know, he had a new attorney and we only gave him a week to prepare.
Okay, well, I think we gave, okay, I see what you're saying. We did give him 2 weeks or 3 weeks the last time he requested it because he was seeking an attorney, but you're right, now the attorney he has been identified and yeah, that just gives him a week if we don't postpone it.
Yeah, that's probably, I don't think we want to go to court on that, you know, defending that. It's usual to give the attorneys some time to prepare.
So the 17th?
Okay, yeah. So you're saying 3 weeks, Lori, would you say?
I would say 3 weeks.
The 24th?
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah. I think that.
All right. Without objection, board, August 24th.
Without objection.
Without objection, Ms. Barnes.
Thank you.
Calendar 19-301. That will be on the 24th now. All right. And I think that's all that we have, guys.
Early meeting next week?
Well, so my thoughts on that. So that.
Do you want me to turn off? Do you want me to turn off the live stream and?
Oh yes, yeah. We probably should be off the record.
Okay, so why don't we do an adjournment and we can continue?
Okay, off the record and make sure that there's nobody else on the call that should not be in on this. Kick Mr. Riccardi out.
He just said he was leaving. All right, did you do an adjournment?
BOZA is adjourned on this Monday.
Okay, hold on a second.